So the first thing we're going to do is to look at assigning variables. So assigning variables is basically just storing a value of something in a variable. So if you've ever done maths, you'd say x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2, x plus y is equal to 6. That's just what we're going to show now. So as you can see on the screen, we have a number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is equal to 10, number 2 is equal to 5, and below that you've got some arithmetic operations that you could do with Python. So it's just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then I'll just run this code so you can see the results below in the terminal. Okay, so you can just see here, printed number 1 and 2, which is 10 and 5, and then you just did the sum, the difference, the product, and the quotient. So the quotient is just dividing 10 by 5. So we're using an integer, but as you can see here, there's a 2.0, and that is called a float, which is a different type of data in Python, but we'll cover that later. So there's another thing you can do with the variables, which is compare them. And there's comparison operators, which are shown on the screen. So let's just go through that now. So we have the values x and y of 10 and 5. And then we just have variables there, which will set equal to these bits and brackets, which is just comparing the two variables. So in the first position, we're just going to say, is x equal to y? So we just use the equals comparison sign. So obviously x is not equal to y, so that will show up as false. And then the second one, not equal result, is equal to x, and then this is another comparison operator. So exclamation mark equals means not equal to, x is not equal to y. And that's true, so that answer will come true. And I'll just run this code to show you the values of the rest of them. Okay. So we can just see here, I ran it before a second ago as well, and it just says false, true, true, false, true, false. So less than equal result. So again, greater than equal, less than result, greater than result. But imagine you had to write some more complex Python code. You wouldn't really want to create that first before even getting started with what you want to do on top of it. So thankfully, there's something called a package or a module in Python, and there's a standard set of them that come with a Python download, but you can get some third-party ones from the internet. So we're just going to go through one now, which is the math module, which comes standard with Python when you download it. So what you'd have to do to use this module is do something called an import. So you're just basically saying, from this module somewhere in the ether, don't care about where it is, I just want to use some code from there. So if you use the import math, you're basically saying, I want that whole file to be imported, and I can just call things by referring to the math module. And that's what I've done here on line 6, where I've just done math dot square root of 16. And then I've also done line 7 math dot pi, which just gets the pi variable. So if we just run that, and if we just look down here, we've got pi, which is 3.1415, etc. And then square root of 16 is 4. And then there's other types of imports. So there's this wildcard import, which is just to import literally everything. And then here you wouldn't have to say math.square root, you could just do square root. And here there's a more kind of explicit import. So you're saying from the math module, I want to import this square root function, and then I could just say square root, but then I wouldn't be able to use this pi one. We're just going to look at an if-else loop, and this is flow control in Python. So it's just basically executing code based on a certain condition. So we have a number which is equal 0, and then we have this if, elif, else pattern. So you could just use if else, and you could just use if, but just to show you the full capability of if else, I will run this. So we just said if the number is bigger than 0, I want to print the number as positive. If the number, or elif the number is smaller than 0, then the number is negative. And then else, obviously the number will be 0, so you just print the number as 0. So I'll just run that. So as you see, the only thing printed is that the number is 0. So this number is positive, number is negative is not printed, and that's due to the kind of flow control. So the bits that, this condition is not true for, it doesn't happen, it doesn't occur. So we're just going to talk about a function, and a function is almost like a casing within a Python file where you want to contain some code and only run this code when you call the function. So let's just look at that now. So let's say we have this variable which is called global number 7, and we have this function which is give me number, and what this function does is prints the string here and then the number, and this number here is not a variable that you've created, it's just something that you're going to pass to the function, and this will take this variable and do something with it as we've defined here. So we've then just called the function, so here where it says def, this is not calling the function, you're just defining the function. And then we have the call, and let's just run that. I'll just run it as a Python file, so let's see here. So, okay, so it says here 7. So we've passed global number, and I'll just show you if I pass something else. So I'll just pass 8. And then it says here 8. So that's how you would use a function. So we're now going to talk about something called scope of a function, and that just basically means where that function can access various variables from in that Python file and how to view that. So let's look at this code again. So we've got this global number 7, and then we have the function give me number, and then obviously what it does, so print here, and then the number you pass to the function. So let's just run this line here, line 9. So just run that. And that just says here 7, so you know that the function can access that. So let's just do here, we uncomment this. So we've just said within the function, local number 8. So if we just comment this again, so that means the interpreter won't read that, and we uncomment give me number, and we try to access local number. So because you're calling the function here outside of course its definition, which is this part, and then this local number, this file is trying to look for the local number, but it can't access it because this variable is local to the function, so only the function can access that variable, and only inside that function can you access that variable. So if you were to do this local number, and then you commented this out, and you wouldn't actually have to, I mean you could pass something, but let's say you didn't pass anything here, you didn't pass this number. All right, let's try and run this. Okay, so it's asking for you to pass an argument, so let's just do that. Let's just do global number. So we know we can access global number, and we've passed it into give me number, so let's just run that again. And it says 8 here, so we pass 7, and it goes into here, and we instantiate, or we create the local number here, which is 8, and in this function here we've passed local number, and that's worked. The only reason we passed this was basically to get the function to work, but just to show you that if you say that you're going to pass a variable in this function and you don't do it, it won't work. We're going to look at strings, and strings are basically just a chain of characters that are put together into one long, of course, a chain. So we have a variable here, which is words, and that's equal to hello world. So each character here has a value, including the space. There's a few things we can do to this string. Is we can format it, so we can have hello world, and then this part here, this kind of notation, and that just says format itsILAC. So that will just add itsILAC into the hello world string and place it there. So if there was anything after, it would know to place it in that part of the string. And then we're just going to print the certain values, and we'll show you the values of that. And then there's also comparison and arithmetic operations, so we'll just run that. So we can see here, we'll just use this one here. So we print hello world, that's print words, and then we print the length of words, so that's 11. So there's 11 characters in here, and then we do print words, and we index it from 0 to 7 and increment it by 2 each time. So we're just printing the second character each time from 0 to 7. So just showing you that here. So H-L-O-W, so H space L space O is printed, space is not printed, and W is printed. And of course, this is the 7th character, but actually the 6th index, because the first index is 0, and that's where we start from. And then we do here, we do a print words too, which is just shows hello world itsILAC, and we do hello plus world, which is hello world, no space, and we do hello equals world, that's false, and hello in hello, and that's true. So finally, we're just going to go through the final set of data types here. So we've got floats, and we've got list, we've got tuples and sets. So list, tuples and sets are basically variations of a list contained, or variations of various values contained in some form in Python. And then a float is just essentially a fraction or a decimal, sorry. So we have 3.14, so that is considered different to an integer in Python, so just be wary of that. And we have a list, which is used by these square brackets, denoted by these square brackets, sorry. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and the comments say it's ordered, it's changeable, and you allow duplicate values. And a tuple is somewhat similar in terms of you're allowed duplicate values, and it's ordered as well, but you can't change a tuple, so I can't add values to it. I can't change values to that tuple. So if I try to do this my tuple 0 here, and I'm trying to change the value of 6 to 1, I can't do that. And then here we have a set, so which is unordered, unindexed, and don't allow duplicates. So this is quite good in case you wanted to just have kind of independent values and not have duplicated values, but it's a bit of an issue because the items are unordered, so you can't call them by a certain position or an index. Okay, so that's session 2. I'll be posting session 3 next week. Hope you enjoyed the video, and again, the contents will be in the description.